Hello, I'm Ron Keith with Riverwood Solutions, and with me today is Sam Blackman. Sam is General Manager of America's Operations for Flextronics Special Business Solutions. Sam, welcome to Apex 2011.
Thanks, Ron.
How's the show going for you guys so far?
Very good so far.
It's good to see you. I've been following with interest Special Business Solutions and kind of this approach to providing a higher level of service to smaller OEMs, and it seems like you have a very specific close to home type of footprint. Tell me how that's working out, and tell me what you guys are seeing out there in the marketplace in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 OEM space.
Sure. We are positioned in North America, Ron, specifically geographically to service customers in different areas of North America. So we have factories on the East Coast, the Midwest, as well as the West Coast. Our service offerings are for innovative companies, entrepreneurs that are spinning up businesses. They can be for new customers that are launching new products. They can be for OEM customers that have product divisions that are developing products that want to decrease time to market, increase value. Our service offerings to those companies enable them to speed up their time to market, increase their efficiencies of their manpower and their resources. And it allows us to engage with them in the design area up front, build, ship, and service on the back end. So if we have a customer that's trying to get a product off of the whiteboard into production, we can help them in engaging at the design stage through prototype and low volume. Then we can help move that product over into production. We can move it through production and into shipping, and we can do that in a local area near our customer, because the customers like to do business in the area near where they are for low volume, high complexity products, especially in the prototype stages.
Let's talk about that. Over the last couple of years, there's been this kind of increased acceleration of this decoupling, at least in my mind, where the sources of innovation and the sources of production have become more and more decoupled. And over the last couple of years, it just seems like everyone comes up with the answer, I have to build in China, I have to build in China. And yet you guys are putting in place quite an operation in North America. How are you managing to compete against that overwhelming trend?
I think what we're finding is in the special business solutions model, where we engage with the customer early in the process, a lot of that is around high complexity product, a lot of it is prototype. Some of it may be a newer product development that they're working on, but when they look at the total landed cost of the product, and if the product is high complexity, large form factor product, and it is going to be built in low volume, or the distribution for that product is in North America already, then it becomes to make more sense on the math to keep that product here, to start it here, and then to build it here. They're also looking at the total landed cost back from an overseas model where they have time and money invested in supporting that product to bring it up there, as well as then to run it and build it. And with the economy and the process and the fuel prices and things, it just continues to drive that model more and more favorable for special business solutions to be able to engage them here, near where they are, provide the service up front, as well as the build, the ship, and the back-end logistics services as well, as we do a lot of build-to-order, configure-to-order out of North America for products that are here. So it just continues to build that model, and we're experiencing nice growth around that model.
You talked about fuel prices and things like that, and you keep using the term landed cost. Do you find that most of your customers are pretty good at looking at their holistic cost, or do you have to train them a little bit to understand that it's more than just the purchase price of the unit X works? There's their costs, there's logistics costs, there's all these other costs. Are they pretty sophisticated in that, or do you have to do a lot of education to get them to understand that?
They very much understand the economies of their business with regard to what they pay for their products. They are not as far along in understanding what we would term the soft cost around supporting those products, wherever that may be. And especially as you get more and more variables involved in an overseas support model versus even here, they don't have a good grasp of what exactly goes into that when it costs money to support a product. So we do quite a bit of education, and actually one of the areas where Special Business Solutions is a big enabler in the innovative front end to help customers understand what that cost is to get a product off of a whiteboard and into a factory.
So, as I think of Flextronics as having a big Asian presence, and in fact I think it's an Asian company, is there some natural friction there in terms of trying to explain a closer to home model when the company also has quite a bit of infrastructure offshore, or is it just a matter of finding the right product fit for the right factory in the right geography? Are those at conflict, or are those complementary?
I think they're very much complementary, or we have found them to be complementary. When we work with a customer in North America, if it is a startup or an OEM that has a product coming out of a product concept group or design group, and we're seeking to help enable them to get that product to market, then if we start it in North America, we have capability from the East Coast to the West Coast to do printed circuit board assembly, sheet metal fabrication. We can punch, bend, weld, paint the metal. We can do cables, integrations, assembly, configure to order, build to order, and software load, as well as shipping and logistics. So we're able to start that customer, and then as that product grows, we're able to help them move that product. If it needs low-cost region support for some components or for that product, we also have special business solutions factories in Mexico that can provide those components that go into those products. As that product then continues to grow, if it reached a point where it needed to move offshore, our systems will allow us to seamlessly work it here in North America and then move it there. So it would complement growing the overall business of Flextronics through the special business solutions offerings.
So the customers you work with at Special Business Solutions tend to be building geographically near where they're located and where their innovation centers are?
Typically very much, yes.
So they support you with the local team. When they go offshore, do they then go hire teams offshore, or do they have the same cost structure internally, or a higher cost structure of trying to support you guys offshore from an onshore location in terms of their internal organization?
They would have a higher cost structure. They would support with the engineering team that they have here typically, which is where we can provide and augment and help that a great deal in the upfront. They would carry that support upfront.
Very good. So I can't let you go without asking about Japan. I've been asking everyone that I've talked to, what are you guys seeing in terms of the fallout from Fukushima? And clearly you must have customers that are calling and asking questions. Do you have a good feel for what's going on, and what advice are you giving to your customers? What information are you getting from the front end of the supply chain?
Well, we're getting pretty good information, obviously, day to day on how the impact is today. We understood a few weeks ago that the impact was kind of coming. We've worked to manage that as best we can. And I actually believe in the short term, everybody is working through it as best they can work through it. The concern we have, obviously, is the long term. How long does this go on? How long does it impact the overall supply chain? So far, I think we've been very successful at helping our customers in managing the supply chain and filling gaps and working through things. The question now is, how long does that go and disrupt that supply chain, and that we don't have an answer for.
Is there a particular segment that you serve that you think is going to see more impact than other segments?
Probably around for the raw materials and things that go into the parts and the components. Probably some of those components that come directly out of Japan that are driven off those raw materials are obviously going to be impacted, versus like assembled items or things we get from other places where the supply chains are still open. Sure.
Very good. Well, Sam, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Ron.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
It was Sam Blackman, who's General Manager of America's Operations for Flextronics SBS, and I'm Ron Keith with Riverwood Solutions.